Good evening and welcome to the very first edition of Electricity Town Hall, a program being sponsored by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, aimed at keeping consumers of electricity abreast of happenings in the nation's power sector. This program comes your way every Monday on the network service of Radio Nigeria at 7 o'clock in the evening. NERC is the regulator of the nation's power sector, interfacing with electricity generation companies known as GENCOs, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, and the distribution companies, DISCOs. I'm David Umoru, your anchor. The Nigerian electricity supply industry, NERC, is the framework for electricity generation, transmission, and distribution in Nigeria. It's a critical sector that plays a vital role in Nigeria's economic development, fueling industries and improving the standard of living. However, the NERC faces ongoing challenges such as providing reliable and affordable power to a growing population. One area that has remained critical has been the distribution sector, where consumers are given electricity and in turn required to pay for services rendered. Owing to issues surrounding electricity supply, consumption and bills, the federal government has introduced several initiatives geared towards protecting the consumer while also providing the investor the enabling environment to get returns on their investment. How much is being done in this light towards getting the desired results, and to what extent are the key stakeholders prepared to engage for an enhanced power sector in Nigeria? These and more are the questions we'll be interrogating tonight on Electricity Town Hall as we look at the metering initiatives in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, NERC. We have in the studio Assistant General Manager, Consumer Affairs of NERC, Mr. Saidul Lawal. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Likewise. And also in the studio we have a Deputy General Manager and the Commission Secretary, Mrs. Ada Ozomena. Good to have you with us on the program also.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you to all the listeners now.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome to the program. Okay, we just get right into it. It's popular opinion that if you know your why, your how will definitely be easy. So let's just begin with the why. Why has metering continued to be an issue across the country?
Well, metering in the NERC, it's been an issue ever since the pre-privatization. And those are one of the issues that made the federal government realize that it needed to privatize so that people will get to be metered, enough. And the main problem is that one of the main problems is the fact that the DISCOs are having financial problems because, one, we don't have a cost-reflective tariff. The tariff that we pay is not enough for them to provide all the equipment that are needed. They have transformers, we have wires, we have the poles, we have the meters. So all this costs money. And the tariff we pay is not cost reflective. So also the issue of they can't raise financing because of the lack of cost reflective tariff. So, normally business goes to a bank and says, I need money, I want to invest, and then I will, recoup your money from the investment. But unfortunately, since we don't charge cost reflective tariff, that's an issue. They can't go to the banks to collect loans. So those are the issues that are causing this metering gap
across the country.
Yeah. If I may add to that as well, beyond the absence of cost-reflective tariff, as my colleague has said, that's absolutely right. Also, the high cost of infrastructure at all. The meters cost money. They can't get the financing. They don't have the tariff. So it's the whole basket
it's all-inclusive.
Exactly.
Speaking about metering, let's go to the importance now of metering. And I'll come to you, Mrs. Ada Ozomena. Tell us the importance of the metering initiative of the federal government.
Thank you very much, David. Metering is really, really important. It's really a double-edged sword. So without metering, because there are not enough meters, there's customer apathy to paying the cost for estimated billing. So they're put on estimated billings. So there's customer apathy on that side. On the other side, the DISCOs are also losing revenue when there are no meters and, they have to cap the customers on estimated billing. So absolutely, metering is really a very important aspect and a major priority for the federal government. And several initiatives have been launched over the years to tackle this issue of metering. And if you permit me, I'll go into some
definitely.
of the critical ones.
Let's have a look at.
I'll delve into the capping initiatives since 2018, but before then, right at the privatization, there was an initial metering initiative called the Credited Advanced Payment for Metering Implementation, CAPME, where customers could actually finance the cost of the metering and be refunded over time. But since then, there have been several recent initiatives of the federal government since 2018, starting with the Meter Asset Provider Scheme. Meter Asset Provider Scheme. That's the MAP, yes. And that was a brainchild of NERC, of the Commission. The Commission saw that financing was a big issue for the discos. And in the Commission's effort to address that, the Commission allowed third-party vendors to come into the metering space, so provide the financing for the meters, and that way more customers are metered. So CAPME gives the customer power to get a meter, rather than wait until be on estimated billing and crazy bills until the disco comes to the area where they live. Gave customers the power to say, oh, look, I want a meter today, and I'm ready to pay for it, And so that initiative has been very, very successful, actually, with over 2.3 million customers metered till date.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's really one key metering initiative that has been on. But beyond that, there have been several initiatives, metering schemes initiated by the federal government. In 2020, there was the National Mass Metering Scheme that was initiated by the federal government with support from the CBN. Yeah, so there was the CBN provided financing that was on lent to the discos. And through that scheme, about over 900,000 meters were given out.
Distributed?
Yeah, distributed, and that was at no extra cost to the consumers. Yeah, so that was for a period, and then after that, again, there was a scheme. That was for a short period of time.
Were there challenges during this distribution? Because when you mentioned free at no cost to the consumers, it raises eyebrows. So how many? What was the success level for that particular scheme? That NMMP. National Mass Metering Program, right?
Yes.
What was the success rate and also the challenges? Being it was a free scheme, how was it distributed? Was it, from your own assessment, was it really fair? Was it okay?
Yes, I mean, there was, NERC, as I said, NERC is the regulator, so NERC provided a lot of support to the scheme, and, there was a rollout plan, so to different areas. And so the meters were distributed to, not randomly, but it was selected areas. Yeah. The only thing is that, of course,
the challenges.
The Meter Asset Provider Scheme was also going on at the same time. So sometimes it was confusing to the customers, and why am I being asked to still pay for meter under the
they were running concurrently. So
yes, because that's the Meter Asset Provider Scheme has the advantage that it's always available. So if as a customer I'm told that my area is not to be metered right now, captured, but maybe not now, maybe in 6 months or something, and I really don't want to have those crazy bills again, I'd ask for a meter under the MAP scheme. Yeah, so there maybe with communication and all, I don't know. It's never a perfect situation, but
and this seems
900,000 customers still got metered.
Well, that's quite a success, I would say.
Scheme, so.
Quite a success, I would say. By my count, that should be about 3 initiatives now: the CAPME, the MAP, and the NMMP.
Yes.
So let's talk about the most recent initiative now, talking about the PMI.
Oh, okay. You've jumped the Meter Acquisition Fund scheme.
Okay, please, guide us. Okay. Lead us, please. Tell us about it.
Yeah, okay. Again, this was an initiative of the Commission. Remember, the NMMP, the National Mass Metering Scheme, was time-bound.
Okay.
So there was still the need to get customers metered, find a credible, sustainable means of getting customers metered. So the Commission came up with the Meter Acquisition Fund scheme, which was like a a small, tiny amount as part of the tariff that was paid. And then it created a credible revenue stream from market funds, really, within the NERC, not outside now.
Okay.
On the back of which long-term financing could be obtained by the discos. Yeah, and that was again for a short period, and over 40,000 meters, I think, about that. Yeah.
Oh, nationwide.
Nationwide.
Okay.
Yeah, it might not seem like a big number, but speaking about satisfied customers, yeah, it is. And then now we come to the federal government schemes. Yeah. The PMI, and this also includes the DISREP program, the Distribution Sector Recovery Program, which is a larger program. Metering is a key component, though, of the DISREP program. And, so the World Bank has supported the DISREP program over the years, and, it's just starting, but the idea is really to roll out over 3.2 million meters between 2025 and 2026, so this year and next year. A few meters have come in last month, and this month about 200,000 plus.
Okay.
Yes. So that's one. And then there's the other complementary scheme under the Presidential Metering Initiative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear about it.
Okay. So the PMI. So this is a scheme. A joint scheme is funded by the Federation Account Allocation Committee, so it's federal government and state governments putting funds together. And the plan is to, do a phase-wide approach to metering over several years, starting with 2.5 million customer meters, as well as distribution transformer meters, about 110,000. So NERC is waiting. NERC supports this initiative, of course, but as I said, NERC is the backbone, the regulator, so I'm sure in the papers will be coming.
Suffice to say, among these initiatives, there are the NERC-based initiatives, and then there are the federal government initiatives, of which NERC also adopted them.
Yes, not to forget that NERC is part of the federal government.
Okay, federal government, okay, of course, definitely.
But yes, you're right.
Okay, I'll just ask this before we take a short break.
Yeah.
Now, we have places like Abuja, Lagos, Kaduna, Kano, and Port Harcourt, which are some of the areas where you have customers, or like, is it okay to say, with the very high purchasing power now? Now, have you faced challenges or resistance going into the interiors of states, metering them?
There are places discos go when they come. They come and give us reports, and there are places that they go. The people are accepting them. People are okay, but there are some places they always go and have challenges. Now, these places are most often than not places where there's cases of, shall I say, electricity theft.
Okay.
And so when you are putting a meter there, there's going to be kind of an auditing of the line that goes. So the things like that can be found out, and people that don't want to do that, so we get such reports that such areas. But by and large, a lot of people are accepting of meters because meters gives you that, shall I say, assurance that you are paying for what you are consuming. So a lot of people are actually in support of the meters.
Oh, that was welcoming, because my local government, of which I will leave unmentioned right now, so that they don't swamp in there and begin to distribute meters. I'm not sure I have seen any prepaid meter there. It's quite a very small local government, though, or the headquarters there.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times. I haven't really seen, so let me not expose them.
Meters are very empowering to the customers.
It will get there.
It will get there. Okay, until then, let them just enjoy what they are getting at the moment. Thank you very much. We'll just take a short break now, and when we return, we will be looking at the roles that NERC is actually playing in the metering system. Thank you. Stay with us.
This is Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. We will be back shortly.
Are you tired of estimated billing? The federal government has various metering initiatives so that customers on all electricity supply bands can get free meters. However, demand is high and supply is being phased. If you don't want to wait, you can get your meter through the meter asset provider, MAP scheme and get refunded in energy credits. With a meter, you get accurate billing and greater control over your electricity costs. Contact your disco today to request a meter. Visit www.nerc.gov.ng or contact the NERC call center via 0201 344 4331 for details. NERC. Keeping the lights on.
We are back with Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria.
Thanks for staying with us and welcome back to the very first edition of Electricity Town Hall, a program being sponsored by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission aimed at keeping consumers of electricity abreast of happenings in the nation's power sector. And the program comes up every Monday on the network service of Radio Nigeria at 7 o'clock in the evening. Thanks for staying with us. And my guests still are Assistant General Manager, Consumer Affairs, Mr. Saidu Lawal, and also we have Mrs. Adele Zemena, who is also the Deputy General Manager and the Commissioned Secretary. We have to thank you for coming into our studios once again. Before we went on the break, we had spoken about why metering has continued to be an issue, and Mr. Saidu took us well on that one, and also metering initiatives in Nigerian electricity supply industry. Now, let's take it further. I'll come to you now, Mrs. Adele Zemena. Is there any role the NERC is actually playing in the metering system?
Absolutely. NERC plays a huge role across all metering initiatives.
Okay.
Yeah. So I spoke to you earlier about the meter asset provider scheme as well as the MAF scheme as key initiatives of the Commission. But even for all other initiatives, the Presidential Metering Initiative, for instance, and the DISREP and the National Mass Metering Program, NERC supports all these programs as the regulatory backbone of the sector, so to say.
Okay.
Yeah, so NERC sets the standards for metering and installations. NERC approves all metering plans and contracts entered into by the DISCOs. NERC ensures customers are protected, and treated fairly. And, there are instances my colleague gave earlier, the Commission, NERC balances all these aspects and ensures that customers are protected, even in cases where there are no meters. NERC ensures that the capping order is adhered to by DISCOs and actually also sanctions non-compliant DISCOs as necessary and ensures in such cases where refunds are to be made by the DISCOs that they're actually made. So NERC plays an overall role as the watchdog for the industry as far as metering and everything is concerned.
Okay, thank you very much. Earlier when we were talking about the metering initiatives introduced by the federal government and how they've been driven, you outlined a whole lot, some of which were the brainchild of NERC, some from the federal government, which you also said, well, they are all rolled into one. By your own assessment, which of them has the most success rate?
Yeah, don't forget that this gap, with the PMI now, the intention actually is that the gap will be covered to a large extent.
Okay.
Yeah, so when that happens, the gap is no more so large, but the meter asset provider regulation will continue to be there, giving customers the choice to pay for the meter upfront. Don't forget what customers pay for meter is not going to the DISCOs, it's going to be refunded. So the customers actually get it back through energy credit over time. So it's not like, if I'm a customer, I'll be procuring the meter upfront, but I get it back. So that is always a fallback option. Okay. But for now, the PMI, the intention, which is why it's really commendable that the federal government is doing this, because it's really a critical priority for the federal government at this time to close this metering gap. Yeah.
Okay, you said something interesting, and I don't know if we should go into that and open it more. You said something about even the payment upfront. is still returned to the consumer or the customer over time. There's been some observations and complaints from one or two people I know and even myself. After acquiring the meter, the first 5-10 purchases or so, there were deductions. When you key in, let's say 73 units, once it takes it in and it shows your next balance, a percentage is taken off. So how do we reconcile this of customers getting back what they paid up front and this percentage being deducted once it's done? Okay, Mr. Saidu.
Yeah, thank you very much for your good question. Well, what happens is that when your meter is installed, it comes with some units by default before you purchase. So those units are pre-programmed on the system, on the meter, and it allows you electricity to ensure that you have electricity. Then you are now asked to vend. So when you go to purchase electricity, that amount that was, shall I say, given to you upfront is removed. But what we're talking about is if a customer pays for a meter, the amount that he pays is going to be refunded back to him over a period of time with energy credits. So what that means is for every time you recharge every month, a particular amount of credit will be given to you until everything that you paid is paid back to you.
And the Commission is monitoring that very closely.
Very interesting. I think a whole lot of customers should know this so that they can applaud you guys more, I would say. Also, because the idea is that, money's been deducted and they don't know why and all of that. And still on you, Mr. Saidu, let's just go to consumer procurement of meters now. How can consumers procure their meters?
Thank you very much. Like we said earlier, the procurement of meters is only under the MAP program. Any other federal government initiative that comes, you don't have to pay any money. You just, as long as DISCO has, I marked your area and your house, they're just going to come and install the meters for you. But in case you can't wait for that meter, now that's when you go and, shall I say, procure. Not really procure, just you are giving, shall I say, an advance to the DISCO to provide you that meter. And when you basically just go to the DISCO and on all their websites, they have, to purchase a meter. Every month, every 2 months, the Commission conducts an online bidding for meter prices. So it brings a set of competition in the process. So now all the maps that say that the meter access providers will submit bids to the Commission and say this is the amount that they can, provide meters. The Commission now assesses those bids and now publish. At the end of the closure of the bidding period, the Commission now approves the prices and directs the DISCOs to now publish these prices on their websites. So the customer and their website and their offices. So a customer that wants to procure a meter, he goes there, he sees the list of meters and the prices from different, shall I say, meter providers.
Vendors.
Yeah, vendors. Then now he applies. When he applies, the DISCO will go to his residence and see what the capacity of the meter he wants. So there are 3-phase meters for large houses and there are single-phase meters for small houses. So based on that, then the customer is asked to choose among either the first single-phase or the 3-phase meters. When he chooses, he now makes a payment. Now the DISCO has 10 days to install that meter. We are monitoring that. So after that 10 days, the meter is installed, then I think by the first month, the second month, when we're sure everything is okay, then the customer will now start getting paid back. So for example, if it goes to vend for 1,000 naira, then the DISCO is mandated to add, let's say maybe 300 naira worth of. It's not going to be paid immediately. No, it's a monthly thing.
An installment.
It's installment until all this money is.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Saidu. So as we wrap up, you just answered this question that I know is on the lips of many consumers. Are meters transferrable?
No, they're not transferable.
Why I ask this question is we've had issues where landlords refuse to install meters and tenants don't want to keep paying fixed bills. So they end up using their monies for the meter, and when they're moving out, landlords wants to keep the meter.
Meters are configured to be, assigned to a residence, to a location. Now, so that's why when that meter is assigned to that location, you cannot move it from one place to another.
All right, thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to put in one word before we close, just to emphasize that aside from the meter asset provider scheme that he just described and how the process works, all these other schemes, including the presidential metering initiatives, the installation of meters to customers is at no extra cost to the customers.
Okay, Abuja, Nigeria, you've heard that.
And eventually, ultimately, metering is the responsibility of the distribution companies.
All right, thank you very much for coming on the program this evening. And that's the much we can take on today's edition of Electricity Town Hall on the network service of Radio Nigeria. And the focus has been metering initiatives in Nigerian electricity supply industry. And our guests have been Assistant General Manager, Consumer Affairs of NERC, Mr. Saidu Lawal. Also on the program has been a Deputy General Manager and the Commission Secretary, Mrs. Ada Ozamena. Thank you very much for coming on the program once again. And also for complaints and feedback, you can reach at complaints@nerc.gov.ng and also on www.nerc.gov.ng. Call centers for X at NERC.ng. That's on X social media handles. And also for the phone lines, we have 0908 899 9244. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our team of producers have been Studio Manager Phineas Odoyo, Facilitator Conrad Labe, Producer Sunday Goche. A special thanks to our Executive Producer Hussein Akila and Msushima Key. I'm David Umoru. See you next Monday for another insightful edition of Electricity Town Hall.